Was it about to explode? It was. Okay. All right. And so what we talked about, one of the things as a pastor, when I'm in counseling, I use the Bible in order to help people to understand how to find victory in a particular area of their life. And so your struggle was anger. Are there others in the auditorium who may have a problem at times with their anger? Anybody? Okay, there are a number of hands that went about them, and so perhaps what we would share with them this morning would be helpful. You think?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Did you know, of course you know, but did you guys know that in the Bible there was a man who probably you would know his name almost immediately, most of you, who had an anger problem? And so we want to talk about that guy, and his name, believe it or not, was who? Moses. And so kind of as a background to our message this morning, Alan, why don't you tell the church a little bit about Moses and his birth?
Well, Moses was born Egypt. His mom found that he was a final child. She hid him for 3 months. When she could no longer hear him, she made a basket for him and placed him in a basket. His sisters watching from the distance to see what would happen to him. After the baby or attendant walking along and saw the basket, she got a slave girl to get the basket. Her daughter seeing and opened the basket and saw the baby crying. And she said, "This is the Hebrew baby." And Moses' sister says, "Should I get one of these mothers to nurse it?" She said, "Yes, go." And as she went and she told the mother, "I want you to nurse the baby, and I will pay you." So as she nursed the baby, she handed that Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of water."
Really good. Good job. Dave, we're going to guess right now because the scripture doesn't tell us the date, but somewhere around the age of 40, Moses had an event happen. And I want to read that event. It's in Exodus chapter 2. Exodus chapter 2, beginning with verse 11. So you can follow along. Now it came about in those days when Moses had grown up, that he went out to his brethren and looked on their hard labor, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his brethren. So he looked this way and that, and when he saw there was no one around, he struck down the Egyptian and hit him in the sand. Alan, tell the church what's going on here.
Well, one day Moses went out and seeing the people in all labor, he seen the Egyptian beating one of his own. And next to this way, that seeing that there's no one around, he killed the Egyptian and killed him in the sand.
All right, so this is kind of implied. He saw this Egyptian doing this wrong. Being a prince, more or less, there could have been 1,000 ways that he could have handled this situation. But obviously, something built up on the inside. What do you think that was? It was anger. Yeah. And when you said he looked this way and that, that tells me that this whole deal was premeditated. That this explosion that occurred was a premeditated murder. Correct? All right. Everybody understand that? See that? All right. So let's find out what happened. Oh, by the way, where does anger originate?
Inside of you, it builds up, when anger builds up inside of you, it takes place inside of you.
Inside your heart. And remember, you were telling me as you read the Beatitudes about Jesus was you have anger in your heart even that you are committing.
Sin.
Yeah, you're sinning. In fact, you commit that murder in your heart. Okay, all right. So let's see what happened as a result. I mean, Moses obviously thought he was getting away with this thing, but that's why he hid him in the sand, right? Okay? So verse 13. He went out the next day, and behold, two Hebrews were fighting with each other, and he said to the offender, "Why are you striking your companion?" But he said, "Who made you a prince or a judge over us? Are you intending to kill me as you killed the Egyptians?" Then Moses was afraid and said, "Surely the matter has become known." When Pharaoh heard of this matter, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from the presence of Pharaoh and settled in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Alan, what's happened here with Moses?
Well, the next day, as Moses went up, he saw two dudes fighting. He said to one, "Why are you hitting?" The man said, "Who made you rule and judge? Are you thinking about killing me as you did to Egyptians?" Then Moses went to himself. "What I have did has now become known. All we know now is only to Pharaoh." The Pharaoh tried to kill Moses. And so Moses fled from the palace and lived in the Midian and sat down by the well.
All right. And do you know that here he was, more or less a prince in Egypt, but now because of the murder, he had to flee the presence of Pharaoh. He went to the land of Midian. Do you know, Alan, that he spent the next 40 years of his life on the backside of the desert, all because he let anger get the best of him? You know what that tells me, Alan? It tells me that there is always a consequence. There's always a consequence when we allow our sin to get the best of us. There's always a consequence. And that's important for us to realize, okay? Let's move to another event in Moses' life. Would you guys turn to Exodus chapter 32? As we pick up the story here, Moses has been on Mount Sinai for quite a while, and he was receiving what from the Lord?
He was the message from the Lord, but the Lord wants him to save the people.
Okay? And so the Lord has given Moses specifically what? Instructions, which were the Ten Commandments. Okay, so we're picking up the story in verse 15. Then Moses turned and went down from the mountain with the two tablets of the testimony in his hand. Tablets which were written on both sides. They were written on one side and the other. The tablets were God's work, and the writing was God's writing in the tablets. And when Joshua heard the sound of the people